What's good, everybody? It's Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction. Back at it with another video. I came across this video from Candace Owens. She recently was banned from YouTube. Now she's back. This is her first video back. And what's interesting is what she thinks actually got her banned. And it's not what a lot of people in media was saying. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a new video on the road to 5K. And all my OG members and new members, what's good with you? How are you doing this week? What's your plans for the weekend? Now, I wanted to cover this because several reasons. Um, a lot of this stuff interests me, especially when it comes to creators or controversial figures or different things like that, and just finding out the truth in general as much as possible. She mentioned several different things in this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and play some of it and y'all let me know what y'all think.
I was very interested in exactly which videos were pulled down because these became the dogs that were not barking. You know what I mean? Why did they target these videos in particular for such ridiculous reasons? And of course, the big one was the Kanye one, but also you should know they removed my interview almost at 1 million views after a couple of days with journalist Xavier Poussard, the journalist that broke the story that Brigitte Macron was born a man and lived as a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau. And he spoke a lot about a pedophile ring. Why would YouTube remove that for dangerous conspiracy theory, a harmful
Hey,
conspiracy theory?
and what's crazy is everything that's going on with Diddy and a couple and some YouTubers and other people in general. And a lot of this was like with the Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, like all this stuff is interconnected. And I know some people will say, like, well, there's Candace Owens may be a part of it, different things like that. Like I said, my main thing is trying to find the truth. And like I said, what she thinks she was banned for, I found really, really interesting.
Who's the judge of what's a conspiracy theory and what's a fact? Who has to acknowledge the fact for it not to be a conspiracy? And like I said, the episode with Ye, where he is completely calm. What's really interesting is all of the interviews that Ye did when he was all hyped up and angry and screaming and ranting, like the one with Piers Morgan, all of them are still up. But
Mm,
this one, when I sat
mm,
down with him and he was completely calm and speaking about Hollywood, he spoke about the
mm.
tabloids, he spoke about the people who quite literally tried to convince him that he was crazy, gave him a fake diagnosis, and then fed that diagnosis to TMZ. He spoke about
This is a
handlers in
consistent
particular that
thing.
were there to try to convince him that he was crazy. Why would that be taken down? Let's actually start there because that got me thinking. I was rewatching that interview to see what it was that would have triggered people to get it pulled down. And I suddenly remembered that Dave Chappelle is not the first person to have said that exact same thing. I mean, Kanye West was not the same person to have said that exact same thing. In fact, Dave Chappelle said it before Ye did, that
Yeah.
exact same narrative. Dave Chappelle notoriously took a break. We were told that Dave
Think
Chappelle was
Martin
crazy. I
Lawrence
think we
was
were
the
even told that
same
he was
thing.
bipolar. He had definitely had something going on when he went away. And then he came back and he sat down with Oprah and he spoke about handlers. He spoke about people offering him $50 million, which he decided to turn down when he recognized that these handlers were controlling him. He claimed that
Mm,
he was being used by them and manipulated by them, and that they had lied intentionally and told the press various things about him that were not true. One such example he gives is that they told the press that he had pneumonia, and then they tried to convince him to go along with that narrative to confirm the lie. And he said, no, I'm not going to confirm that lie. They also told
You know what's interesting? Like I said, I think Martin Lawrence was the same thing, and I think Dave Chappelle even mentioned that in one of his stand-ups. If you know the stand-up, let me know in the comments section. Um, I can think of more recently, as far as the stuff that was going on with Jamie Foxx. I'm not even sure, but there is a consistent pattern when it comes to these celebrities and the stuff that it is that they say. Same thing as far as with Cat Williams. She's gonna mention all that, but she's gonna get into it. Like I said, and it's not even this whole Hollywood thing. Again, when she gets into the real reason, it actually makes some wild
Public
sense.
that he was suffering from writer's block when he was just trying to take a break because he had realized that he was maybe doing a deal with the devil. And you want to know what's most compelling about that interview they did with Oprah back in 2006? He also says that they tried to convince him that he was crazy. Take a listen.
The whole time, they're trying to convince me I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication. Yeah. Like I'm sitting around, I was stressed out, but the people that were telling me I was insane, I believe that they knew what was going on.
Yep.
Very interesting. So Ye says that there were handlers that were trying to drug him and to tell him that he was insane. In fact, they did end up drugging Ye in a hospital. And now Chappelle is saying that the exact same thing almost happened to him. And the media has told us that both of these men are crazy.
Yeah.
And guess what? The year before that clip aired, Tom Cruise was also maimed
This
and
was
caricatured in the
interesting.
press. We were told that he was crazy. He
Yep,
was a
I
little
remember
loony
that.
after he sat down with Matt Lauer and said this.
Here we are today, where I talk out against drugs and psychiatric abuses of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that?
The difference is this was not against her will, though. But this wasn't against Brooke's will.
Matt, I'm asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I
Ooh,
do. All
look.
it does is mask the problem. Matt.
Look,
And
you don't know the history of psychiatry. Remember that.
if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance. I'm saying that drugs aren't the answer, that these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that so that we don't end up in a brave new world.
Mm.
Mind-altering antipsychotic drugs. He's speaking about the history of psychiatry. You don't know the history of psychiatry, he says to Matt Lauer. Why? Well, if you could pinpoint the exact moment, if you could literally trace it to one episode in which I started dealing with a full media firestorm of attacks from the media turned on Candace Owens, it was when I dove into, and you can look at this, fact check this, earlier this year, the history of psychology and Sigmund Freud. They went nuts. It's an untouchable area. You can't speak about it, but it's everything that you need to know. You should deeply research, begin with Sigmund Freud. It is dark. It is disturbing, and it is religious so far as it is like the Antichrist. And it's all real. It's right in front of your face. Very deeply disturbed, sexual, perverse individuals turned philosophy into what I believe is a fake craft of psychology, almost a form of witchcraft, which then became, down the line, Sigmund Freud's family, like I told you, created propaganda. That is Edward Bernays, his nephew, and the effects of that are what we are seeing today. Propaganda, psychology, mass psychoses implemented upon the world via the media.
Before we get into that, this video is sponsored by me. Hey, if you want to dive into new music, I have a catalog. Yeah, these are not singles. These are albums. But more recently this year, I did release an album called Tame Chaos. So you can listen, stream, download, purchase, all of that in the link in the description. And just, check it out because I want to see if people are actually seeing this and going to the site. So anyways, guys. Yeah.
So they control these handlers that take over Hollywood. They insist, these handlers, on controlling every single person in Hollywood because Hollywood is the vehicle. It is the vehicle in which they can modify our behavior.
Okay, I'm gonna end it at that. If you want to go check it out, I'll leave the full video. But that right there is interesting. Even what she said, She said that Hollywood is the vehicle to modify our behavior. And when we look at things throughout history, when we look at certain movies that kind of were pushed and certain things like that, and you see what Hollywood is trying to do right now as a form of inclusion, as a form of diversity, all of these different things, but the story is missing. But they're putting these particular things into the forefront, and those are the things that I'm thinking about with this whole history of psychology and Sigmund Freud. When you look up those philosophies, it almost seems like a quote, and you do find out the stuff that they talk about and some of the quotes, and dive deep into some of the things that they're saying. And then you're just all like, okay, you have a bunch of people who are following this. You have a bunch of people that reference Sigmund Freud and different things like that. And this was something that was very, very interesting, because not everyone, but a lot of people were saying the reason she was banned is because of speaking about the whole Palestine, Israel, everything like that. But she just said right now, when you can pinpoint exactly when the media turned, because the media was super pushing Candace and everything like that, but then there was a switch. We was told it was because of her whole views in regards to, Palestine, Israel, everything like that. But she's just all like, it was when I went and I did this research on the history of psychology. Now, with certain people, with a lot of this stuff, I try to take with a grain of salt, do my own research, come to my own conclusions, because at the end of the day, Candace is a celebrity. At the end of the day, Dave Chappelle is a celebrity. At the end of the day, Tom Cruise is a celebrity. At the end of the day, Cat Williams is a celebrity. But that does not stop the fact that when celebrities do try to go against the grain, that there is some type of almost media crucifixion that happens like that. They did it with Dave Chappelle, did it with Cat Williams. What's wild about the whole Cat Williams things is even people like, I believe Kevin Hart even apologized to Cat Williams. I don't know what it was pertaining about, but that was something that was going around. Kevin Hart apologized to Cat Williams. Cat Williams said a bunch of stuff at the beginning of the year that we're seeing, is playing off. And we're seeing the stuff that's happening with Diddy. And a lot of people are saying Drake's next. And we see everything that Kendrick Lamar was saying in everything. And we see little breadcrumbs, because here's the thing. With Diddy, none of this was shocking. The shocking thing is how long he was able to do this in our faces. I remember even when I was little, in the 90s, early 2000s, there was all these little jokes, all these little things about the Diddy parties and everything like that. All of a sudden, right now is where they're able to get him. And you have certain people, rappers, different things like that, people putting it in the lens of, oh, you can't fly out women and different things like that, when that's not the case. What he is being hit with has nothing to do with the orgies or different things like that. It has to do with prostitution. It has to do with trafficking. That is the difference. This has nothing to do with, oh, just flying a girl out that you like and everything like that. No. And then things get weird when we talk about Drake and the embassy. His little thing as far as with being historically shown with him interacting with underage girls. It doesn't matter for what reason, whether it's sexual or not. He has a history of interacting with underage girls in ways that is not appropriate. And I don't mean in a sexual way. It's just in general. You're not their relative or anything like that. But when I look at a lot of this stuff, it's like where are the parents in a lot of these situations? You know, I look at all this stuff that's going on, and that's why I find this interesting. That's why I find this interesting. I didn't mean to go on a super rant. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. The psychology and this actually being everything with the mind. You know what I mean? Just something for you to think about. But hey, like this video, like the way that I'm thinking as far as with this, hey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to check out the description for my music, books, comics, and more. All right, y'all. Peace.